Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the FitELITE Strong podcast. We're here with Shane and Corey today. And at FitELITE, we believe in being strong for life. And what that means is being strong for the things that we do in our everyday life now and being strong into our lifespan so we can live a healthier life and more active and more productive for as long as possible.
As long as possible.
As long as humanly possible.
Like 100.
Till I die.
So
maybe 100. I don't know.
I think you make it.
To 100?
Yeah.
So we should take bets.
I got $100.
That says I make it to 100?
Yeah.
You're betting me that?
I don't know who I'm betting. I don't know who I'm betting.
How do you collect on this? Anyway, we got way off topic here. For those who are around Corey and myself, often you notice we have to banter back and forth. Some might call it bickering or arguing. I don't see it that way. I see it as a fun, lighthearted, sometimes annoying banter.
I think we're just an old married couple.
I think you just called me old.
Well, you are.
Okay. But you're not, so I don't know what's going on. We're not married either. That's weird. Anywho, today we're going to talk about strength training. A little bit more about that. A little bit in the ins and outs on strength training. We talked about it a little bit, but we talked about in the FitELITE Strong podcast, in our name and in being strong for life, that strength training is an important aspect, possibly one of the most important aspects. So I think we're going to dive into that a little bit today. Am I right, Corey?
You are right.
All right, let's talk.
Well, it's what we do, and I figured, do people know what strength training means and what it entails and why it's important? So if you look into the research on living a long, healthy life.
Those of you guys know, I don't want to interrupt you here, but Corey will come with the sciencey stuff here, right? He's our research guy. He'll come with the sciencey stuff. If you go back to the creatine podcast, he busted out the whole process there using fancy words and stuff like that. I'll try to simplify it because I'm simple-minded like that. So hit us. Give us the science literature.
You're not simple-minded. You think it in a different way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you look into the research on living a good quality long life, the things that you need to stay strong, because your muscle will decline as you age if you don't do anything about it. So it's
sarcopenia.
Yeah. So if you don't do anything about it, meaning you're not lifting weights, challenging your muscles, whatever that may be, and you're just decreasing activity as you age, you lose muscle over time. So to counteract that, we want to lift weights or do something that's challenging for our body. The muscles have to adapt to it. The other thing is balance. Balance is a big piece. If you fall as you get older, talking like 70s, 80s, 90s, you fall, you break a bone or something, it's really hard for you to recover. And that's like the number one risk for death at that age is a fall risk. I remember the Life Alert. Commercial.
Yeah, right. I've fallen, I can't get up. I have one of those. Just kidding. Not yet. I do get ARP mail on a regular basis though.
Balance, strength, and balance is a part of strength. It's part of power production, and you've kind of talked about that a little bit in our personal training podcast. So those are benefits that you get from strength training, and that's why it's really important to be doing something like that, and that's why we do it, because we believe in it, and we believe in aging healthily and being healthy now and being healthy later.
Yeah, I mean, even thinking now, everyday tasks like carrying in all your groceries, right? Like how many trips does it take you? I like to load up my arms with all the groceries if possible, and there's fewer trips from the car carrying in. But carrying in groceries, picking up your kids. I talk a lot about when I first started here. At that time, Cam would have been my oldest son would be 7, 8, and he would fall asleep on the couch. And I remember picking him up and carrying him into his room. Wesley now is 8 years old, and he's getting long and heavier, and it becomes more work. But I remember when I first started here, I would carry Cam into his room and put him into his bed. And it was a loft bed, so it was not a super high, but I had to put him in there. I remember one day, I just kind of reached over the back of the couch and picked him up, scooped him up and just carried him in there. And it was that moment it hit me, wait a minute. I remember this being difficult carrying him in here, and now I just reached over the back of the couch, lifted him up, and carried him in there. And I was getting stronger without really realizing that I was. And so the cool thing about gaining strength, now, or in your 30s, 40s, these everyday tasks require a little bit less effort. So I can do a lot more things with a little bit less effort. I'm less gassed just doing everyday tasks. Plus, you know what? Getting stronger and like seeing improvement in a market improvement is fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's rewarding to see that I can progress over time. Even still, I still want to, like, I don't really care as much about certain things, but I mean, I'm a 50-year-old guy. I kind of want to see if my bench press can go up. And so like it's kind of fun to try those things. And like I'll text Cam or whatever after I do it. Like, hey, you just did this many for this many reps. He's like, it's just something we can talk about it. Let him know the old man still got it a little bit.
It makes me think of one of the members calling herself a fun grandma.
Yeah.
Because she can get down and play with her kids, get back up, do whatever they want to do.
That's a big deal. Instead of having to sit in the chair and watch them play, you can be really involved. I mean, that's my goal as I continue to age is like, well, my kids have a big age span. So there's a possibility that I want to be active with a, teenager, late teenager, early 20s and grandkids. That's just where it could be. I don't know. But it is important to me to be able to be active out, whether it's with my kids now or grandkids down the road. And that was a big driver for me when I first joined the gym. Obviously, we talked about it before, but it starts with a little bit of aesthetics and, want to be a certain build, size, shape, leanness, whatever, which is still like, the reality is it's still part of the deal. But really, it's like I want to be able to like go upstairs without my legs burning all the time. If I went to a hotel and we're going 4 flights of stairs, like it's no problem. I'm not out of breath. My legs aren't burning. If I want to go out and skate with the kids or play basketball with the kids, and I can go do that without like too much worry of injury. I shovel my driveway all the time. These sounds like really ridiculous things that like 30-year-old me is laughing at 50-year-old me right now. But it's things you take for granted. Just like those little things like that, I think are fun to do. Or like, Bray, who's a early teenager, to be able to go out and do his workouts with him, and and be able to keep up right now with him. That stuff's important. So I think the everyday stuff now is really important, but also looking ahead at how long can I keep doing this sort of thing. And that's where like the style of training and what I do changes a little bit into what we're currently doing for training, because it allows me to do all those things, get stronger now and like protect myself. Another part of that strength training importance is like my joints. Like it's, training in my bones. Like it's really important to train those for healthy joints. So full range of motion, compound movements, using different muscle groups, multiple joints. That's really important stuff to be able to move long term.
Well, I mean, that's a huge topic of like bone health, muscle health. Those are paired together.
Yeah.
Because the better muscle health you have, the better bone health you have. And especially for women, I just had this week asked about perimenopause.
Sure.
Right. And so as you're going through changes in your body,
sure.
And those are significant changes for women.
Yeah.
Because they have a very high risk of loss of muscle or bone mass.
Right.
During that time. So strength training is the only thing that can reverse that for you.
Right.
Where if you are going down, you can reverse it. You are not stuck there.
Right.
You can change that in your own body by strength training.
Right. Very true.
By loading your bones.
Right.
And you have to load it with weight.
Right. And we'll dive into that because you're right. Because I think what that means, what strength training means and loading with weight, I think we'll dive into that in a second here. But I think that's really important to talk about also. And when I talked about earlier about, working out to like look better, strength training is really important to your metabolism, right? Like as I gain muscle or as I strength train, I have a higher resting metabolism. Like it requires more calories to maintain my muscle mass and what I am. It allows me to control my blood sugar better, right? So if I'm moving and I'm strength training, I'm able to control my blood sugar a little bit better. And then with all those things, I can maintain my weight more effectively. So if the scale is something that's important to me, to just go out and do cardio is kind of like not filling in the full equation and not helping me get where I want to go. Now, not that some level of cardio training isn't important, but that strength training at least 3 times a week, I think is really important to really helping me, if I want to lose weight, so I can have the healthy metabolism, and then add in the cardio and make sure that I'm, eating appropriately for my goal there. But that strength training, I think, is a real big piece that is sometimes overlooked a little bit.
When you talk about healthy, or like healthy and aesthetics, like a healthy looking body is a body that has a little more muscle, less fat, which is a different body composition.
Sure.
So
Sure.
essentially, when we're talking about strength training, we're talking about changing your body composition for a healthier body composition. So if you have like high blood pressure, you're on pre-diabetic or anything like that, like these are really important things for you to do, because you can control those things with a better body composition, with more muscle, less fat. And that leads to aesthetics. If it may not be your primary goal, but if it's something in your head, you're like, yeah, I do want to look better, but I also want better health markers.
Right.
And strength training is huge for that. So it's definitely something to get better body composition, better health overall. That's married with aesthetics.
Right.
Healthier you are, the better you're going to look. So why don't we go into what strength training is?
Okay, I like it. So strength training means that we're using some type of external resistance, external load. So it's more than just body weight. So a lot of times you'll have a barbell, dumbbells, kettlebells. We don't have machines here, but machine training is a part of that. I guess body weight can be, but if there's progression to it, like if I'm increasing volume over time or complexity of it, pushing sleds, carrying things, using banded work, anything that has an external resistance. And then I think a big part of that, and we believe as a gym, and you'll find this in any real strength training program, there's got to be progressive overload, meaning I start at one spot and I just increase the weight a little bit each week, so that my body is forced to adapt. And that's where we get the strength change. Is part of it's muscular, part of it's neurological, but understanding like, okay, if I go 5 pounds heavier the next week, and then 5 pounds heavier, and then 5 pounds heavier, my body's like, okay, I have to get stronger to be able to do this stuff. And so part of it's neurological, part of it is those building more muscle fibers to be able to do that. But progressively, like over a time with a plan, doing that is really important. When there's not a plan, you're just kind of going out and doing things. It's not to say you won't get stronger, but I think our belief is that with a plan and a progressive plan, you're effective. It's a little more. It's more effective. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I'll break down the science for you.
Okay, yeah, let's go. Nerd it out for us. Let's get it.
So when you talk about progressive overload, there's 2 main ways to do it. You're either doing it with weight,
right,
like you just said, or you're doing it with volume. And when I say volume, it's the amount of work that we're doing. So that's reps. You can do more reps, you can do more sets. So say 1 week you do 4 sets of 5 reps. Next week, you don't really have to change the weight. If you did 4 sets of 10 reps, that's more. You're overloading your body. You're giving it more stimulus, and it's making it get the signal to adapt. And so that's what the external load is doing. It's giving your body a signal, a blaring signal. You have to get stronger, or you're going to probably die.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about evolution overall, that's probably what the body is telling you.
Right.
You need to get better, or you're going to die. So when we talk about progressive overload, that's the 2 main things we're talking about. We're talking about weight, or we're talking about more volume, more work that you're doing. And so the muscle's getting stimulated by doing that. And especially if we're challenging yourself, and you'll know if you're challenging yourself if you're getting out of breath.
Right.
If it's your muscles are starting to get a little swollen, a little bulgy, like you can feel it.
Like pump, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the pump, which is kind of hard to describe at times. So you'll know that you're going hard enough if your muscles are getting shaky too.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel exhausted after a session of lifting, that's how you know you're challenging yourself enough where you are going to get stronger.
And we do it different ways too. So I agree with you 100%, because I will with this, in class we do it, but I'll do it a lot with my clients, or if I'm working with athletes, exact same thing. You might increase the overload through weight, or if we're doing rear foot elevated split squats. We may say the same weight, but it might be 6 on week 1, 8 the next week, and then 10 the third week, right? And then you can adjust it, maybe increase the weight, bring the volume back down, and then progressively increase that. So there's multiple ways of doing that. And I think that's important to remember, is that there's a lot of ways to get that overload. The rest in there becomes important too. So making sure that we are getting enough rest, especially for strength training. And I think that becomes if we're doing a conditioning piece that has, movements that have external load, that's generally speaking a conditioning thing, not a strength increase. And so we're either conditioning or looking at like hypertrophy, building more muscle. But I think that understanding that if we have a block that has, a bench press in it or a strict press, and we're saying rest this time period in between times, that's important. And sometimes with clients or athletes I'm working with and in class, that the patience kind of like wanes. So you try to find ways to fill that space. But the rest is important, because without adequate rest, I'm not really recovering enough to give a maximal output to really, really take advantage of that overload. Is that sciencey? How do you science that?
Yeah, so it goes back to what we almost talked about in the creatine episode.
Right.
It's the creatine phosphate system. And so you're recovering just enough energy to get the most out of your muscles. If you just go back to back to back, like there's a bunch of different facilities out there that go hard and fast, like HIIT training. This isn't HIIT training because we want to get stronger. Our goal is to get stronger. Not to say we're not going to do conditioning,
Right.
and it may look like a HIIT training,
Right.
but when our goal is to get stronger, you need adequate rest. Otherwise, you can't give your best, like you just said.
Right.
You cannot push as hard as you possibly could because you just don't have the energy back yet.
Right. Which is why we structure our workouts the way we do, whether it's with our clients or in class. There is a dedicated strength, and I would say we're a little bit more of a strength biased gym, where that building strength and good movement quality is number one, and then we'll have that conditioning piece, which, like you said, could look like HIIT training, but again, that's conditioning. That's our heart rate. That's a little more volume, perhaps. That is heavy breathing. Like those things are all important to do also. So we're not sitting here saying you should just go do strength training and nothing else. We're just saying that if you're only doing something else, you're missing the mark. And that dedicated strength training is important. And I think, we talked about it requires like a little more neural demand too. So if I'm lifting heavy weight, if I'm doing less weight, it doesn't require as much. But if I'm requiring more neural demand, I'm teaching my body how to move better. But B, it actually, when my brain's got to work more and my nervous system has to work more, I'm requiring more calories there too. So the more load we can put there, that's another place that we're looking at, like using our calories, our energy.
Well, that's a good point. Like there is a demand on your CNS, central nervous system. So it's just from your brainstem all the way to all of your appendages, connects to all of your muscles. So when you're putting your body through a high stress, high load, like we're trying to do safely, if you've never done it before, what you might feel is a ton of fatigue.
Right.
Like you might feel completely wiped out and like you want to take a nap afterward.
Right. Yep.
Because it is not just on the body, it's also on your nervous system, your brain, that you are stressing. And that's good. That's actually really good. You're doing something right if for the first time you're strength training in your life, you feel that.
Right.
And now that's not to say every single session needs to feel that way.
It probably shouldn't, right?
It'll improve over time as well. Like your ability to, your capacity to do work, essentially,
right,
is what we're improving. Your CNS will improve with that, not just your muscles. Two-part system that works together.
Right. And then when we talk about strength training, I mean, one of the things that you brought up earlier was a couple ways of doing it. Was we talked about volume, whether we're increasing volume or we're increasing weight. From you'll be our science guy, but from all the research and everything that I've done, is the strength to build strength really is in like that 1 to 5 or 6 rep range. Yeah.
So I've actually seen recent research where you can build strength at any rep range.
Correct. Let's talk about this a little bit, because
it's pure strength you're looking for. You're correct.
Yeah. Right. So you can build it And the reality is that the actual strength training, well, this is the stuff that I've read and listened to. Tell me if you've seen this or heard this. The actual strength gain only happens when in those last maybe 5 reps or 3 to 5 reps, because that's where I'm actually putting the stress on.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I'm trying to think of like you're doing heavy singles. So I've gained a lot of strength in my life doing heavy singles, right? So that wouldn't be the last 5 or whatever.
Sure.
Because you're going at such a heavy weight, like it's the maximal that your body's about able to do and handle. So if you're doing a really good rep on that, your body's getting
So what we're saying is the closer you get to failure, the more benefit there is.
Yeah.
to a point. Right. We don't want to get to failure all the
Correct.
time.
Correct.
And I think that
Right. So like if I'm doing something that requires 15 reps, for example, the first 10 are not building me strength. It's the backside of that where I'll add the strength. So I can gain strength at a higher volume, but it's those last reps of that when I'm getting closer to like my maximum capacity that I'm actually seeing the strength gain.
Is that fair?
I'm starting to think you might be mixing hypertrophy with strength, because the harder reps at the end is where you're likely to gain muscle mass, because that's the signal at the very end, that the fatigue that you're getting from that, the tension that you're getting from that at the end of that is where you're getting enough growth stimulus to gain muscle.
Right. Okay. So
We're getting we're getting in the weeds. We're getting in the weeds.
Okay. But either way, there is a volume at which is probably more ideal for strength training, right? Like if I'm looking at strength, probably in the lower, because of volume standpoint, right? So in the lower rep range, I don't want to do, now there are things that are 10 sets of 10. Yeah. It was a German volume training or whatever that is. Yeah. I've done it. It's hard. Right. But in reality, it's like 3 to 5 sets or 3 to 5 reps is kind of like that optimal strength. And then if I get closer to like over 5 reps, 8 to 8 reps, now I'm looking more at strength and hypertrophy. And then over that is more hypertrophy, which is building muscle. Not that all those things don't happen in each of the rep ranges. I'm just saying optimal. Is that fair? Okay, there we go. We did it without bickering like old married couple, I think you called us. Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah, right. So, and that's things like we talked about: squats, deadlift, bench press, strict press, anything that you have an external load and you're moving it, right?
And it's challenging for you.
And it's challenging. It's not just like
you're barely getting your reps done.
Right.
Exactly. So things that aren't strength training, light loads. To your point, if I'm doing dumbbell bench press and I'm getting 15-pound dumbbells that aren't challenging for me, it might be for somebody else, but for me that's not challenging, and I'm doing 15 of those. What are we talking about here? Not really doing a whole lot, correct? Unless my volume's super high and then I'm looking at hypertrophy.
Right. If you did 50 reps,
Right.
You're like the last couple, you're like really struggling to do. There we go. We might have that growth signal, that signal to get stronger.
Right. So when we get to like training, when we get to reps that are 15 to like 50 reps, that's not really strength training. You might get some strength benefit, but that's not really strength training.
If it's challenging you, you will get stronger. But
at the very,
is it efficient?
Right. That's the other part of it. Yeah. Now how many?
You want to do a set of 50?
Not really. No. Well, and then we get things where we're say we're training strength, but there's not really any rest in between. Now, we might get stronger, but not really optimizing strength if we're not getting adequate rest in between, right?
Will get stronger, but you're going to get so fatigued and tired that it's not as efficient as it could be.
Right.
It's not as worth your time as it could be.
Right.
I think that's what we're really trying to narrow down is we want to be efficient with this because we respect everybody's time.
Right.
Not everybody has 2 hours to be in the gym to get stronger.
Right.
So
I don't.
What we're trying to talk about is optimizing it and making it the best possible for your time in an hour-long class or hour-long personal training session. So, I mean, if you're doing the same weight for 2 months straight, that's not strength training.
Right. Fair. Because you're not challenging yourself anymore.
Nope. Your body's adapted. First 2 weeks, probably adapted.
Right.
That's why that progressive overload is important, because your body does adapt. And so we're just changing continuous adaptation, right? Okay. Circuits, continuous circuits.
There could be some strength in it, but it is not strength training.
Right. How about when I'm looking at it like, man, that was a good one. I was sweating a lot and my heart rate was super high.
Not strength training.
Not necessarily, right? Like I can sweat a lot and get my heart rate high, strength training. But if that's my focus, it's probably not strength training. It's probably a conditioning piece or a lot of volume. And then if it doesn't have like a measurable like overload, whether it's volume or strength, to your point, you said that, right? I'm sorry, volume or weight. You just said it. If I'm using the same weight and I'm not progressing at all, I'm not strength training, right? So like things like, and this is where we ruffle some feathers, but there's certain things that I think are misconstrued. Yeah, they're not bad workouts. They're workouts. I sweat, I move, huge importance. So I'm not diminishing that. But things like a boot camp or circuit type class where I'm in a continuous, a minute here, a minute there, a minute, boom, boom, boom. Sometimes that's great, but if that's the core of your workout, that's not strength training. And again, we talked about the benefits of strength training. If I'm continuously moving, that's not strength training.
Yeah, I would say any workout that is 10 exercises that you're doing rapid fire,
Right.
Not strength training.
Right.
What about, well, even if you had one that's like 5 exercises in a row where I'm doing like even air squats, push-ups, burpees, sit-ups, is that strength training? Right. So if I'm doing even 30 seconds of all those movements, I have a little rest at the end of a set and I do it again, it's not strength training. It's a conditioning workout, right? And probably a really good conditioning workout. I'm going to
Yeah, even if you're like challenged by push-up or challenged by sit-up,
Right.
It's not necessarily strength training.
Yeah. So we'll get like muscular endurance from it, and we'll get some cardiovascular endurance from it, but we're not going to necessarily like get the strength gains that we're talking about as really important to our life now and in the future, right?
So I want to ruffle feathers.
You want to?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Your yoga sculpt class has been mismarketed to you as a strength training class.
300%. Like I'm not anti-yoga sculpt.
I've done it myself.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's not hard.
It is hard.
It's very hard. Are there aspects where you will get stronger? Sure. But it is not strength training. It's a different thing than strength training. And the benefits of it are different than what we've talked about as the benefits of strength training. So no, I agree. That is another one that, while difficult, isn't real strength training.
It can be a great workout.
Right.
But that's what it is.
Right.
It is not strength training. It's not going to make you stronger. It's not going to have the vast improvements in your life that strength training would have.
Right.
Like, I've been in those classes. I've done those weights. Right. I'm picking 5-pound weights, and I'm doing that week after week.
Right.
Because it's hard. Right. We're doing hundreds of reps, and that doesn't mean I'm strength training. That doesn't mean I'm getting stronger.
Muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance, right? Those are getting trained, but the strength, what we're talking about is strength, is not happening. It's not getting trained.
And why we're stressing that so much is because strength training has such a big improvement in your quality of life.
Mm-hmm. It's why we've really focused on the type of training that we do, is that the benefits of strength training have been, he's quoting studies here, shown to be so beneficial that we center what we do around that, and then put these other things in there with it, right? So we have that HIIT style workout with it. Or here's one. I got one for you. How about this workout? Is this a strength workout? 20-minute AMRAP, 10 wall balls, 10 box jumps, 10 kettlebell swings.
I would say you were probably going to get stronger, but if that's the only thing you're doing, week after week after week, not strength training.
Right. Or if we're just doing long AMRAPs all the time, again, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance. Not saying you won't get stronger, but it's not optimizing how you can spend your time getting strong. Yes. You could do a lot more in 20 minutes than that to build strength, and still have a conditioning piece in there. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're doing longer workouts and have strength movements in them does not mean it's strength training. Strength training is doing 1 or 2 exercises. They're very challenging. They're so much challenging that you have to rest.
Right.
Like if I'm doing wall balls, push press, whatever else you want to pair with that, I can probably do those for a long period of time. Back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
I'll get tired.
Right.
My muscles will burn.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'm going to get really strong from that. Because there's only so much load you can do with that.
Right.
You can't maximize your load on that.
Yeah.
When I say load, the amount of weight that you're
To get you to the point that your body has to adapt to make change to get stronger. Right. Okay. Other things that kind of the things that aren't strength training that you would say?
Yeah. I would say like a 30-minute HIIT workout.
Right.
It was a big thing for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
It probably still is. But high intensity interval training.
Right.
It is high intensity. It is hard work. It is not strength training.
Right. And what we're saying is strength training is so important that it has to be a big part of whatever your training method is. It needs to be a part of that to really see the immediate and long-term benefits, really no matter what your goal is.
Right. And I think we missed this earlier, but in why it's important to strength training. But it's important to protect joints.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you did say that.
Yeah.
But I just keep thinking about like people that have talked to me about how my back pain's gone, my knee pain's gone.
Right.
I can run again.
Right.
Like
my neck feels better, my shoulders feel better. Yeah.
And that's not from HIIT workout.
Right.
Right.
That's not from sculpt workouts. That's not from whatever else you want to say. That is from a dedicated strength piece.
Right.
That you are working on your foundational strength.
Right.
You're breaking down your body in appropriate ways with great technique, and you're building yourself back up.
Right.
Better.
Yep.
So you can support your bones and your muscles and your body.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think of like, I'm going to call somebody else out, Fire Fitness.
Okay.
That's a 30-minute HIIT workout.
Right.
Great workout.
Right.
I'm not disputing that.
Right.
But I'm telling you, you're not going to get the benefits you would if you had dedicated strength work in there. So you can do all these other workouts.
Right.
Just make sure that you are still strength training 2 to 3 times a week.
Right.
And it's dedicated strength training. It's not in a circuit, not in an interval.
Right.
It's not in a sculpt. It is a dedicated strength where you are really challenging your muscles.
Right.
I like it. Cool. All right, we're getting a 30-minute mark here, so we got to get going here. But one thing I want to kind of talk about is some of the myths around strength training. And one of those here, I got heavy weights will make my body bulky, make me bulky.
Gosh, I wish we could kill this myth.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. To get bulky requires your diet.
Right. Eat more calories. Right.
Yep. And for
right. And yeah, the volume and long-term work, right?
Bodybuilders talk about this all the time. They wish it was that simple.
Right. Yeah.
They wish that, within 6 months, I can get that bulky.
Right.
They spend decades of their life trying to get bulky.
Right.
Well, and they're eating like 4,000 or 5,000 calories to do it.
So tell me this, is strength training more with this myth? When I lift at a relatively heavy weight for me, is that more of a am I improving more of my neural efficiency or like my muscle size?
Probably both.
Right. Would you argue, and this is where I'm coming on this one, is once to adapt, yes, there is going to be muscle adaptation. I need to build more muscle fibers, but not as many as I do with what's the stuff around your nerves called? I'll think of the word later. But it helps kind of improve the neural efficiency. So I always remember as I was learning about this stuff, it's like the coating around like a speaker wire. So the insulation around it, so it becomes more efficient. Yeah. Okay. So as I
The M in front of that.
Yeah. I want to say myelin or myelin.
Myelin sheath.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we got it eventually. But the more I strength train, the more like kind of layers I get around this. So my wiring is a little more efficient. So if I take a speaker wire, electrical wire, if I have a very thin insulated covering on that, it's not as efficient as if I have big, thick insulated cover over that. Does that make sense? So same deal, right?
Not only does that sheath get bigger, but it also branches out, and it connects to more muscles.
So without me getting bulky, I am getting stronger, and that would be one of the mechanisms by how that happens.
Well, here's how you see it visually yourself. You go look up a 120-pound power lifter,
Right.
and you tell me if they're bulky,
Right.
with the amount of weight that they're lifting.
Right. So they're
They're super strong, but they weigh 120 pounds.
They're lifting like 500 pounds at 120 pounds.
Right.
You can get very strong without getting bulky.
Very true. How about this one? Lightweight, high reps, get my muscles toned.
Tone's another word that always triggers me. This is not a thing. What you mean by tone is you have more muscle, less fat.
right.
So it's not. So training in general, if I can strength train, I build more muscle. And if I adjust my diet and sleep and other factors, then I lose body fat, thereby
Looking toned.
yeah, improving your tone. So fat loss, muscle definition, being stronger. That's how I get toned, not stoned. No, yeah, toned. Okay. How about this one? It's a good workout when you're sweating a lot.
Lots of workouts can make you sweat.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're strength training.
Correct. Yeah. So I agree with that one. That's one I got like, oh man, I wasn't sweating enough, or I was sweating too much there. Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors there. Doesn't necessarily mean you're getting stronger in those, or even that it's a good workout, an effective workout. I mean,
I would say
Good.
in the beginning of your strength training journey, you may not sweat a lot.
Right.
Because your capacity isn't that great. The more capacity you build, the more work that you can do, the harder it's going to feel and the more you're going to sweat.
true. All right, one. Strength training is dangerous.
That's actually I think it's the opposite. Strength training is protective. And now, if you're doing it smart, under good supervision, like what we do, we're keeping everybody safe. We're making them sure they're moving really great before they move off.
They have to earn increases. Right. Like we talked about already, protective bone density, protective in our tendon strength, protective in our joint stability, protective in our resilience to injury, protective in our metabolic health, right? And so I agree with you 100% that it's not dangerous. It's dangerous when done incorrectly and without, like you said, coaching that like we provide. You don't know what you're doing and you go try to put a heavy load on your back or deadlift, and you back can't handle it, you're around your low back and that can be an issue. But when you have a coach there saying, all right, correcting maybe those cues to correct and make sure, and then it's like, hey, we need to back the weight off a little bit. We're getting this and here's why. Or the opposite is sometimes challenging. Like, hey, you got it, you're there. Why don't you throw 10 more pounds on? And just knowing when and how to do that. And sometimes you can't see when you're not doing it well. And I think that's like for us, that's the benefit of us coaching on the floor and having hundreds of hours of experience seeing these sort of things to help people.
Yeah, if you think being strong is dangerous, try being weak at an old age.
Right. Oh, I love that one. Can we hashtag that or put it in quotes? When we post this, we'll have that one. You think say it again?
If you think being strong is dangerous, try being weak at an old age.
Oh, boom. Mic drop. All right. Well, see you guys later. No, just kidding. How about this one? Cardio burns more fat than lifting weights.
It's actually opposite. Right? Cardio is like the ultimate hunger driver. Like the more cardio you do, the hungrier you're going to get. And it's so hard for people to control hunger that if you're doing hours and hours of cardio, you're probably underestimating what you're eating. And you're probably staying stuck in that circle of just you're miserable because you can't move the needle.
Right. And so we had all these, I think it probably still is, but there was a time where it was all about cardio, right? And because you do lose weight doing cardio.
You can burn a lot of calories running, doing whatever for a long period of time. Like if I go out on a 10-mile run, I can burn 1,000 calories. That's taken me a long time to do it, but I can burn a lot of calories doing that. Doesn't mean it's efficient.
Right. And then on the backside of what you're saying is now I'm hungry and now I'm eating, maybe overeating now because I'm so hungry, that you have to have, for a longer period of time, a lot more, we'll call it discipline, I guess, or willpower to not overeat when those cravings come on. So it's natural to be hungry because I need to replace the glycogen. We talked about this before, because I've used so much. And if anything, the strength training our resting metabolic rate goes up. We talked about that, like the calories I need just to maintain, insulin sensitivity, my muscle mass improves, which goes back to that metabolic rate. And like one that doesn't get talked a lot about, we didn't mention it yet, but like your hormones, like actually contracting muscles is really important to proper hormone function. Like there are a lot of hormones that it requires muscle contraction to really move it around my body the way I want to, right? Okay, is that accurate? Okay, good. How about this? As people get older, they shouldn't lift heavy weights.
I'll show you so many videos of 80-year-old grandmas lifting heavy weights, and it's amazing.
Right. Like
their quality of life is way better.
Right.
So people tend to think as you get older, you get more frail and fragile. That only happens if you stop doing things. If you move your body, you lift weights, you stay strong and protected. If you get older, we have a 68-year-old here, and I absolutely love her to death. We're going to have her on the podcast, but she has only gotten stronger, and she kicks butt in here.
Yeah. She does. And outside of here, like going skiing.
For the first time ever.
First time ever. And just loving it and just really enjoying the challenges. That even like there's what are we doing? We're doing this. All right, let's go. And that's the mindset I would want to have. So yeah, it is inspiring and fun to see, and even if she has 2 days between vacations, she's in here getting after it, and then going back out to vacation or whatever. So it's awesome to see. I agree. So cool. Well, Cor, do you have those are kind of the myths that I kind of came up with as we were thinking about this podcast today. Anything else that you want to talk about as far as strength training goes, or anything we touched on today?
Yeah, I think it can seem scary because you're lifting a lot of weight and you maybe never done it before, or you don't know how to do it. That's why there's places like us. Mm-hmm. That's why we're here to help you do it safely, do it confidently, and build on that.
To piggyback off that, I talk a lot about it's a marathon, not a sprint. I don't care if you are there today, as long as we're progressing towards that. So, to your point, sometimes people don't know what it feels like to really be challenged that way, and because their capacity's not there, and it's their first time feeling these things. But after a while, you kind of feel where that challenge is, and once you are starting to feel that, it is a really fun thing to, like, I won't use the word chase, but continue to like reach for. Like, I want to feel that challenge to a point that I can feel that challenge and then still go out and do whatever I want to do afterwards, because I didn't just do 100 squats. I did 18 to 24 today, and I got stronger, and I feel pretty good afterwards. And I had all the benefits that we talked about, all the benefits that come along with strength training. So you said it earlier, what I'll finish with is, you said it earlier, we're not saying other things are bad. We're just saying other things without focused strength training 2 to 3 times a week isn't really optimizing your current health now and your long-term health. Would you agree with that? So that's our pitch. Get out there, get strong, 2 to 3 times a week of dedicated strength training. Do the other stuff you really enjoy doing as well. But the strength training is so important for metabolism, your bones, your joints, your activity level, all the things that we want to continue to grow in as we age, whether we're 20 or 68, 70, right? So there you go, guys. Well, that's it for the podcast today. If you thought this was beneficial, share it with a friend, like the podcast, subscribe, so you see every time that we're out here, and we'll be at it again next week. All right, thanks, guys.